Okay, so we're going to, a couple of notes, as Leah kind of mentioned in the WhatsApp thread. I am so sorry. I just worked for 3 hours in the sunshine, so my brain's a little foggy. But Leah is, as Leah mentioned in the thread, that for the next, I don't know, month or two, we are going to focus on different types of abstract art. And we're gonna, quiet. I know they don't need to talk in the doorway, I'm sorry. We're going to focus on different types of abstract artists and basically some tips and tricks that they bring, or some ways that they've revolutionized art and made it different. We're going to start this week and next week with intuitive painting, which is kind of a newer form of abstract painting. And we're going to start this week discussing the work of Flora Bowley, who is actually a Portland native. She is an artist who kind of came to internet fame by providing kind of one of the first really big online art classes. And then she provides retreats, and she does kind of a very special spiritual kind of art teaching. I've been lucky enough to take one of her classes. And I'm actually going to start with one of her videos, mainly because as we go through the next couple of weeks and we are looking at these artists' work, we're taking exercises and examples from their work, and then we're going to start to develop our own abstract language. You know, it's important to know who you are inspired by. It's important to be very conscious of the ways in which your own voice is developing, and that we're not just mimicking other people. We're starting with Flora Bowley because her painting style for a lot of people starts to really truly open the door to developing your own style of abstract painting. So we're gonna watch her video, which is a video that she made a very long time ago. I would like to encourage you to purchase any of her books. Brave Intuitive Painting is a great starter book. It's going to go through what this video is about. And then I'm going to break it down for you guys. So let me screen share. And then we can, give me a second. My brain seriously is whoa today. Good thing I did all of this last night. Okay. This you can find on YouTube. Highly encourage. It's only a 4-minute video, so I'm not just inundating you. Walk with me, baby, come on and talk with me, come on and take me downtown. Well, walk with me, baby, come on and talk with me, come on and take me downtown. Well, walk with me, baby, talk with me, take me downtown. Well, walk with me, baby, talk with me, take me downtown. Walk with me, baby, come on and talk with me, come on and take me down. Girl, walk with me, baby, come on and talk with me, come on and take me downtown. Well, I like the way you move, I like the way you do. It's just the little things you do. Well, I like the way you move, I like the way you groove. It's just the little things you do. Well, walk with me, baby, come on and talk with me, come on and take
Walk with me, baby, talk with me, take me downtown. Walk with me, baby, talk with me, take me downtown.
Okay, so the book that they just showed is the first book of Flora's that I ever purchased. And coming into abstract art, I actually didn't go to school for painting. I went to school for sculpture, and it wasn't until I actually graduated from art school that I realized that I wasn't going to be able to actually be a sculptor in the real world. And so I started painting, and Flora's class was one of the first classes that I found. I wanted to start with more contemporary abstract art now that we've gone through the basics and really talked about how, what we're looking for in good abstract art. Some things that are really important to know about intuitive painting. Next week, we're going to look at a different artist version of intuitive painting, and you're going to be able to kind of compare and contrast. You will pick up tips and tricks from each of them, but you will be able to see just kind of how different tweaks really can change your voice and how your voice comes through. Some of Flora's focuses as a painter are on letting go, surrender to the intuitive process. A lot of it is about really making game day decisions in the process. We're not going to come into it with too much forethought. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you,
Christia, making what decisions?
Game day decisions, like
Game
decisions
day. Oh.
in the moment. It's not about, like before when we talked about, and how I approach artwork is intentional color schemes that we've worked through with kind of moments that we're thinking about. Intuitive painting really is about living in the moment. It is about making decisions that are direct reactions to what is happening on the paper. So one of the things that I wanted to point out to everybody as we start to look at other artists, other abstract artists' work and what is valuable there and what we can take into our own is color becomes very important. Flora has a very specific color scheme. Her work, her materials that are required are very specific as well. So I'm going to talk about that first, and then I'm going to show you guys how to start a painting. I have two surfaces today because we do need different levels to dry. However, most of us are in at least 90-degree weather right now, so they're drying very quickly. It's good to work between two pieces of paper. For Flora's style of intuitive painting, for the style that we're going to learn about today, liquid acrylics work better. Liquid acrylics work better because they create better drips. I have chosen the turquoise golden high flow, one of her like characteristic colors. Like I said, she's got some really specific colors. I've chosen a second blue color, which is a cerulean blue deep, also high flow acrylic. I have my squirt bottle here that is full of flow, uh, the flow liquid that we talked about in the first class. And then I have a couple more colors. I got a nice green gold, which is that green that I love so much. And those are going to be my three primary cool colors. I do have one of the muted green heavy body. I'm going to tell you though that heavy body paint doesn't do as well with this process as the high flow does. For my warm colors, I have Indian yellow, which is one of my favorites. It is also a high flow. I have quinacridone red. I would suggest personally quinacridone magenta more often. I think that it looks nicer, but mine is empty. So we're going to go with primary magenta and a quinacridone red, and we're going to make our own, which happens sometimes. And then I have a really nice muted violet, again, in that kind of heavy body paint that we won't use very much. And then I do have ultramarine violet. Again, I have a thing about purples, but again, this is about kind of showing you guys how you can find value in all kinds of different artists' work. I have black flat matte acrylic. I don't use black. Flora uses black a lot in her process, and so we're going to honor her process by using black. But that is the only black that I currently even have. And then of course I have a heavy body white and a high flow white. White is also important. I will tell you that in the top layers, we use a lot of masking with white, and a heavier body white paint is a better choice. So our first layers can be done in a variety of ways. For most of Flora's work, you know, the intention here is you turn on some really good music. You use that music to guide your brush around. You're dancing while you're painting. You're not obsessing over what is going down on this page. Some tips and tricks from somebody who's taken a class and done this kind of work before. You know, as we talked about before, stick to cools or stick to warms. You want to let those layers dry entirely. There are some other cool things that we can do during this first layer. We are going to cover this first layer up 1,000 times in this style of painting. So it doesn't matter what you put here. You can use your non-dominant hand. You can paint with your eyes closed, use your fingers as tools. And if you really want to, you can write words, mantras, and words to self. I always love to start with words to self. I actually did a big grant project where I started with I was telling the stories of women in my family and their relationship with trauma. And so I wrote a letter to every single one of those women as the first layer. I'm going to paint flat. I will tell you that this style of painting is better done hanging on a wall or on an easel. I do not like that. My space is not set up for that. But you'll see why. So, you know, Flora likes to use foam brushes. That is a big thing of hers. I never connected with them the way that she did. But I do have a very large amount of brushes out, and I probably won't use much of my scraper during this process. This style of painting doesn't really do as well with it. I'm going to start with my red layer. I think I'm going to mix my quinacridones together. And the intention here really is that you're giving yourself texture. You're not holding too tightly onto outcome. This is what I was saying, like it's game day decisions. It's like, you know, getting in the groove, opening your channel up. When I taught you guys that contour drawing exercise, it really is about just like loosening up your arm. The hope here is, you know, you can always cover it. You can always make it different. We are going to do, like I said, there is lots of spritzing to create drips. Mine won't create drips because it's flat. We will rip it out of its tortured tape after the first couple of layers, but until then. So what's nice about this concept of this process is if you're sticking with color temperatures and you're doing it correctly, you shouldn't have any problems when color is added to the page. You know, the hope here is,
Do you use your scraper at all when you're doing this?
nope. I have not found that my scraper works well with this process. Personally, that does not mean that you won't. I love my scraper. You know, it's my preference here. But you know, this process is really just about starting a texture on the paper, and then we're going to repeatedly cover it. It also is much better done on canvas, honestly, because the canvas can withstand the amount of kind of fiddling around that we're going to do. It looks silly, right? It looks a little bit like a kid did it. And it's meant to really get into that center of yourself. And Flora's got this thing where she says, you know, if you like doing something, like doing these weird little dots, right? She's like, do them all over the place. Like, you're going to cover it up. In other layers, she will do things like tell you to cover up 90% of the page. That's a lot to cover up, right? Especially if you start to like something. It's going to take a couple of layers before you all start to really like something. And again, that comes back down to that same rule of thumb, like it's going to be real ugly before you really love it, right? So also, you know, don't be afraid of darks. I tend to be kind of afraid of darks, but the reality here is that they, you know, they're going to provide some value difference. And as you are working something like this, kind of painting, which just feels a little bit like I'm a little kid, you will see that what we do on these lower layers can have effect on our top layers. I do use a lot of water when I paint this way. It's very intuitive. It's not really meant to be anything yet. We're going to do several layers like this before we start to decide what pieces of our painting we want to keep and what pieces of our painting we want to start to cover up.
Hey, Carissa,
Yeah.
would you recommend that they start along with you or that they watch?
Time, Leah.
Hmm?
I'm going to give them time. I think that it's a good idea to watch for a little bit, and then we're going to actually do some timed exercises with it. So we're going to do a little bit of both. I think some other things, the intention here is to let go. And see, here's the thing. It's so warm in here that my first layer is almost entirely dry already. Like, it's literally, there's only like the last couple of brush strokes are even wet. So what we're going to do is I want you to start with, and you know, maybe at your house or in your head, you turn on a little bit of music if you feel like that's going to help you a little bit. I'm going to work on my second one over here. I'm actually going to move my camera a little bit so you can see my second one while you guys start your first one. And see, there we go. And here is my lovely palette. So I'm going to give you all 10 minutes because you're not supposed to be too connected to these first layers. If you want to write yourself letters, you want to replicate patterns, definitely try with your non-dominant hand. Also, holding farther back on the paintbrush helps you have less control. These first couple of layers really are about creating chaos that you're going to work yourself out of. So let's take 10 minutes and start some weird, crazy, intuitive painting. I'm actually going to do blues on this other one. It's just a way of kind of, you know, balancing out between the two so that I can work consistently between them. If you find yourself getting stuck, some other things that you can do is close your eyes while you paint. This is not a process that has to be seen perfectly.
I just want to say, I think this is a fantastic way to start abstract art.
Right. A lot of people get freaked out by blank canvas, or like the big empty page is really scary. The reality is, if you disconnect from that and you're just kind of throwing colors down, your paper will tell you where to go. That's the intuitive part, right? You're going to find things that you like and things you hate. I also think it's fun just to be like, what? Sometimes I just need to, as I say, smush paint around.
Yeah.
It's also a lot less threatening, right?
That's right. I feel that way about my first drafts of my representational paintings too, actually. And funnily enough, people often, sometimes I lose it in the top layers because the beginning
Yeah.
is well,
You're working it too much. I mean,
not
and
word, right?
that is going to be a real thing. It has been my experience with this style of intuitive abstract that you can work it too much. And I have some tips and tricks how to avoid that. But ultimately, you know, it's just about restraint and learning restraint. You're also going to learn some things that you can never learn in another way. Weird color combinations that like you don't think will look good together that end up together, and they do, you know.
Yeah.
So it's wild. Our artist that we're gonna learn about next week does a lot of stencil stuff with her intuitive abstract, and so it gets even more fun when you get to pull out stencils and like randomly add stencils to pages. Flora does a lot of performance painting too. Like her process is very intuitive in that way, and very like she does festivals, and like I think she performed with Rising Appalachia and stuff like that. Like she used to do wedding paintings where she would perform at people's weddings and like do a painting of the like an intuitive painting of the wedding, and then they got to keep that, which I always thought was kind of a fun little thing.
I bet she just doesn't need to do that anymore. She's pretty huge
So
now.
she's definitely surpassed that need, but who knows? I mean,
And you
she's
never-
now really on creativity stuff. That's what she does most now, teaching other people how to access it, coaching, that kind of thing. So my first layer on my pink page over here is already dry, and I can just continue with the same color scheme that I'm working in on my other paper. This is the point at which, though, like I said, I'm actually going to dislodge it from the table, because as you're building layers, which is what we're doing here, we're building layers and we're building interest, you're going to want to rotate your page. A big thing about the intuitive painting process is, you know, that you are moving it constantly. You're not getting too tied to one detail or one section of the page. So I'm going to actually pull it up and rotate it a little bit. This will also allow me to do drips. Rip out my paper, but that's not the end of my life. It's not going to kill me. Okay. Now I'm going to turn its direction a little bit. I also, another tip that I think is a really important tip when you're working like this is having two water buckets, one for your warms and one for your cools. I think that you get a better, you're less likely to make mistakes and lose parts that you really love. As we go into second layers and other top layers, part of it is covering and creating new relationships. So don't be afraid to like cover large sections. You like a color, you like the way that it's looking, you know, work it. That is kind of the whole process here. We're going to come in later with white and we're going to really tie it all together. After I do this second layer, I will send you all a photo through the WhatsApp app so that you can kind of see how the two layers sit on top of each other without becoming mud, and how, you know, some of the ways that it's coming together nicely. They always look so wild and out of control at this point. It's always such a funny thing to me where it's just like, how is that even my work? It's a good reminder to trust the process and to understand that what will come of it will come of it.
And for those of you who might be new to this process of these classes, Krista spent all last month talking about composition, about design, about color, about finding your visual voice. So all those classes have been recorded and they are on the Roaming Studio YouTube channel for free. So you can go back and look at them under abstract art. Look at any class that we offer for free under abstract.
Good foundational stuff about why we make choices that we make.
Yeah.
This style of painting is exactly the opposite of everything we've been really working on.
So true.
Which is important, which is what we're going to be doing, which is why we're going to be studying geometric styles of abstract work and things like that, is that abstract is a very, very large and wide family of art. It is not to be, to be confined, so to say, which is why it's so beautiful and incredible and fun and expressive.
So this is about letting go of everything we've learned already from you.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But here are some important parts about that, though. Some of those things are still really important. You need to be smart about the choices you make for your color palette, because you're going to be kind of, as I like to say, creating with wild abandon. You want to make sure that the colors you choose are going to work together. So that color play becomes even more important. Hold on. Here's the one that has multiple layers. It always looks so insane to me. And here is my all blues. Ooh.
You see things, Tosh Ween just sent hers in.
Yeah, beanies too. They're both beautiful. Look at the layers. Also, as we move forward, we're going to start what I call the white layers. Don't be afraid to use your fingers. Don't be afraid to get into it. This is very much like childlike almost in what we're trying to, the voice that we're trying to access, and kind of the place that we mentally want our brain to be. A lot of intuitive painters do very, they do like meditations before they start. They do yoga. It's very metaphysical for a lot of painters. For me, I just think, what just happens if we do what art is best for, which is decision making in the moment, creative choices, finding new ways to express ourselves. And inevitably with this style of work, I always immediately find favor in one of the paintings over the other one, almost immediately. And that ends up always being the one I don't like the best at the end. So, you never know what you're gonna get. I'm gonna do a second layer on this blue and green one, and then we're gonna talk about some of the next steps. We're gonna move somewhat quickly through some of this, because I want you guys to be able to have some good amount of time of asking questions. If you get to a point where you feel like you don't know how to continue moving forward, or you feel stuck, feel free to ask questions. Put up a picture in the What's Up app. We're all gonna just kind of play around here. My favorite childhood book, this one that I'm working on right now reminds me of it a lot, was The Hungry Hungry Caterpillar. And I'm sure there was lots of kids' favorite books. I just really loved the color scheme of it and the kind of boldness of the colors. When I first started painting and in my first art show, I had lots of people come up to me at my little booth. It was a raw show. And they're like, oh, I was told to come over here because you're the girl with colors. I have never strayed away from really taking colors and maximizing. So this style of painting really appeals to me in that way, because I feel like you can't really be afraid of color. Even if we're going to come in later and change the way it looks, you still start with a good amount of color. Wow, my paints are like drying up quickly. I'm going to different yellow on this one. Wait, look.
Christina, are you using the colors from the one palette onto the other now? So you're still using the same like two groups of colors?
I'm using
Or-
the same groups of colors. I just worked, that first layer was all of my pinks, reds, and purples. This first layer was all my greens and blues, and I've switched now. So
Okay.
this one I already added blues to, and this one I am adding the pinks and oranges and yellows to it. I like to work with the same color palette just because you're gonna get it kind of messy, you know? A couple of things, if you don't, this is a fancy piece of glass from, honestly, a frame that broke. And then I just kept the glass because the rest of the frame broke. And I put paper on the edge so that it was easy to use for a palette. I also have a glass tabletop that I have kept and used for a palette. However, paper plates work. Palette paper is my favorite travel choice. Somewhere that you are not going to be afraid to get dirty with your paints is what's important here. Okay. One of my favorite things that I've actually learned from this exact process is that I really love drippy yellow paint over top of like magenta underpaint. I just sent a picture into the WhatsApp app. I think that it makes me, it reminds me of fire a lot, and it's always just a really, for me, a really enjoyable color choice. So now these are drying. I'm gonna hold back on this one. Okay, so now this one is drying. It's got a couple of layers that look kind of wild and woolly. Okay, so there's a couple of things that we're going to start to do now. One of the things is we're going to start introducing white a lot more, neutrals in general, and then we're going to start to edit it, meaning that there are going to be parts of the painting that you appreciate more. The way that it's coming, there's going to be things that you like the way that it looks, and you want to continue some of that. I actually, on this one, I really like this, which you can't really tell, this like weird purple that's right here. And I think it's kind of this muted color over here. I like the way that it adds depth to the rest of the painting. And so I'm actually going to mix it with a little bit of white, make it more opaque, a little lighter. It's a really thick paint anyway. And I'm going to start adding kind of this lighter version. Yeah, it's nice. It's a much better version here. We're going to start to cover up some of this stuff. You know, this is where the problem solving aspect really comes into it, because you're going to cover up things you don't want to cover up. We're going to use white. I like to keep focus on a couple of the parts, and I always make the joke that this is like when the painting's personality really starts to come through. You get to start making some really important decisions. This is where that contour drawing exercise comes in. I'm going to come through here. I'm going to put some more of this purple. I'm not wanting to entirely cover up this quinacridone magenta, but I'm finding that I kind of like the way that the purple looks on top of it, maybe with the quinacridone magenta showing through a little bit. I'm liking the dark green and the purple and the dark green on top of each other is really nice and kind of magical. Now I'm gonna start bringing in the white. I like to find spots where you kind of start to mix. So here's the thing, is it's really hot in my studio right now. I have to use a lot of extra water to keep my paint in a condition to be used. It's just a reminder that if it's hot, you're gonna have to find the extra water is required. You can also do this, you can spray your painting to keep it somewhat wet on top. One of my favorite things to do when we start to add the white, like I'm not overdoing the white, okay? But I like white drips the most. They're my favorite. Drips are best done with high flow acrylic. I might be out because I think this one's spilled from my bag on my way home from my vacation. No, we're good. So I actually apply the paints to the page. I know it's super stressful. It's okay. Okay. Find its spots that I'm going to be using it and spray it. I like to use paper because I can control where the drips are going. However, obviously, the more water you add to your paper without it drying entirely, the more it's going to buckle. Some other options as well are, as things are wet, you can dab them up, and that creates a whole nother look. Kind of a sponginess. Let me check out the app. Oh my gosh, the layer 2 Toshleen with that bright green is really nice. Oh, I love the longer piece. I'm so into the change in size and dimension. I actually got a really interesting commission this week. One of the things that's most interesting about it is it's the weirdest kind of shape. It's nice to be working in sizes that are different. Is anybody running into any road bumps or places that you feel like you have made your painting ugly?
I'll admit it, yes.
Yeah, I mean, that is what makes this style of painting special. Remember, you can always cover it up. What we're going to do is, as your painting starts, thank you for being the one to admit it. I have parts of this one I can't stand already, but I am blessed with something that you guys do not get the luxury of, which is knowledge that this always works out. That has come from experience with this. So I'm adding white with my, mixing it in with some of my colors to add some value differences, just to give some range. I'm not covering everything, but I'm covering a good amount. I would say this round, I'll probably cover a good 75%. I've decided in looking at some of the marks that I've made, that this painting is going to be a lot of purple and white and kind of this green, lime green color that comes from mixing my green, gold, and yellow. And so I'll focus on that for the time being. I won't cover up everything, obviously. That's the point.
Is ugly a problem?
Ugly is not a problem. Okay, so let me rephrase that. Ugly is a problem only in that it's just a barrier for you to overcome. Ugly isn't, and you know what? It's completely subjective. You can decide whether you want to leave ugly in, whether it challenges you emotionally in some way that is still giving you some kind of impact and pause, you know, or you decide you're going to have several opportunities and layers to move through and deal with it. It all has to do with what you're looking for from it. So as we're working through these layers like we are right now, there gets to be a point where most people, again, I'm working this, I'm gonna try working this direction. I'm gonna change this direction a little bit. Where we start to, I'm gonna pull out the black, which again, always feels like a risk to me. It's okay if you're uncomfortable with it. And I'm gonna pull out a paintbrush. It looks like this. This is a short-handled one. If I was painting on a large canvas, it'd be a bigger one. It's a round brush. It's got kind of a thin thing. I'm gonna water down my black paint a little bit, so it's more of a drawing thing. And if you remember when we were learning how to mask it, I did that, like the leaves. Well, now it's time to start defining our painting a little bit. You don't have to draw representational things if you don't want to. I like to kind of trust or experiment at least with where, oh, probably would help if you guys could see what I was doing. Sorry, kids. Here we go. It's better. And I'm going to send pictures as soon as I do this. Some people will put words in at this point. For me, the jury's still out on whether or not I want to do that. I just have been thinking a lot, you know, and whatever you're thinking about is going to kind of be what you go through here. In the past, when I was learning how to do this, I would find something in my studio or in the space that I was painting and kind of just loosely draw outlines or whatever. We're just starting to create a little bit of focus here. I like to turn my paintbrush when I'm using it, when I'm drawing like this. I wet down my paint so it's very liquidy, and then I turn my brush when I'm using it. Part of it is that I'm not looking to be super perfect. I'm just looking to start to find spots that I want to focus the attention, that I want to, you know, to create some movement around. One, obviously I'm in flowers because it's spring, and thankfully we only had one hot day in Astoria, so I didn't entirely lose my garden. Okay. Send you guys a photo. Okay. So you can see that I've started to loosely draw on top of these layers of paint that I'm creating. Here's the one that I'm going to let this dry. We're going to come back to it and we're going to do some more work. And it's the reason we do two paintings at once is that we can continue to work, you know, consistently while the other one is drying. We're also very lucky that it's very warm, right? Is anyone lost or feel like they need assistance or guidance right now? I'll be right back. I'm gonna get white or clear water. Okay. Now that I have clear water, I can come in with my whites. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Now I'm gonna start. I'm gonna bring in some contour lines on this one as well, so that I can start to develop some subjects to focus around. Use the same black thin paint with the same brush. Oh, okay. Let this dry a little bit. It's getting quite a bit less work. Okay, so I'm back to this weird flower-ish painting. I've got my contour lines and they're drying up. So now is where the real fun begins. Now we're going to start thinking about, we're going to start spending some time looking and stepping back from your painting and like seeing the parts that you like and the parts that you don't like. And you're going to start to actually make decisions to affect them. It's kind of, it's been my experience that it's more helpful. You feel like you know spots that you want to, like areas that you want to kind of keep, and you can start to phase out other areas, right? Like now that I have these like weird flower designs, I kind of know where I'm going with them. I can start to help develop them a little bit. As with other forms of abstract painting, the idea here is to start big with the random weird marks and kind of move in and continue to move in. Meaning that your marks get smaller, more intentional, and are more about like kind of accentuating the direction that your painting is going to go. The idea with intuitive painting is not that it doesn't ever have a direction, it's just kind of willy-nilly. It's that you let the painting tell you what wants to be painted there. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with brushes that have more delicate. Ooh, Tashween, I'm liking it. Really like that dark center. Don't be afraid after you've started some of your masking to come in and do another round of addition of colors and marks and stuff. You know what I mean? Like we're doing this at a speed that is much faster than you normally would because we're in a 2-hour class, right? For a lot of artists, these paintings are like an all-day thing. Like it takes forever. Don't be afraid to add more color later if you feel like that you would like to. Is there a part of your paintings that you guys would like to share that you think is a really special spot? It's really, you were surprised when how the paint looks over top of each other or anything like that? Maybe you guys want to share that in the WhatsApp thread. I tend to find little spots that I'm like obsessed with, that if I could make my whole painting just those tiny little spots, I would. You know what? I snack while I paint all the time, Kashmi. It is, I swear, I think that my brain is usually like working so hard. It needs more nourishment, is what I tell myself as an excuse to do it. I'm queen of almonds while painting. Jeannie, I love where both of yours are going right now. I'm going to make a very daring suggestion for you, which
Okay.
is one is clearly very cool and one is clearly very warm, with just kind of little bits of the opposite brought in. Why don't you try and challenge yourself, because that's what this kind of painting really is about,
Mhm.
and bring a little bit more layers of the opposite in there.
Okay.
Give yourself a chance for some of the cool colors to make those warm colors stand out, and for some of the warm colors to really make the cool colors stand out.
Okay.
Oh, I love that spot. Look at the way, Kashmeen, look at the way that pink is coming out underneath that blue. Mwah. That is one of those things that is what I was just talking to Jeannie about, is that if you don't put the blue on top of the pink, you'll never see that moment, right? It really makes it something very, very special. I love this. This kind of painting is great stress relief for me. Just feels like, you know, get in there and just have some fun. Except for it does get me very messy for some reason.
You know, it's funny because I'm doing the exact opposite of what you guys are doing. I'm working on this really tight commission on the face with little tiny, on the faces with little tiny brushes. But somehow, just listening to you, I'm feeling like totally like I'm moving freer. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like a portal you open up in your brain, and I really do believe that. I've been doing a lot of research lately and thinking lately about what creativity is, and why different things affect us. But I mean, you've been talking about in your work lately about wanting to bring out more of the drips, right?
Yeah.
And I think part of that is like we want our work to be emotional, and drips for a lot of people are super emotional.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing though. Are you working on the dog or the kid right now?
I'm working on it's 3 families. I'll take a picture of it. I'll send it across. It's kind of in an awkward stage because the colors aren't right on the faces, but there are
Okay.
3 faces I have to get, and they're fairly small.
Today's whole class is about the awkward stage. Welcome to loving it.
Here, not so be prepared, you guys. This is not
a little bit like in a tween, right?
totally. I'm just starting to get here.
Don't be afraid also, as you're working some of these layers and you're adding the white and stuff and you're kind of blending things to make them look more cohesive, don't be afraid to throw on another layer of drips.
I like the darks in Jancy's piece. That's
yeah, right?
Thank you.
I hope you guys are enjoying.
We are, yeah. Let me take a picture of this.
Oh, I love it. Good job not taking any, good job getting out there and just going dark. I also like, yeah, I like you got a lot of texture there. I think that's a really important part of this. Oh my gosh, I kind of really love this painting you're doing, Leah.
Thank you. It's tough because I've got like the faces are small, and
yeah,
this is the father just died, so it's the son and the grandson. So I'm trying to get just enough detail to feel like they're a trio, right? And then the dog is like right there, so it's hard. It's like kind of I may need to go back. I bought a new brush today. I may have to go back and buy another one.
I like the orange on the shoes, and I know you probably won't keep very much of it.
Probably not.
But I really like it. I think that you should keep some of it, like in the yellow of the shoes next to it. It gives the shoes some definition that I'm really into.
Yeah, that's the underpainting, that red tip of the shoe. That's kind of right. It's right now I feel like the grandpa's looking a little too fat, so I'm trying to bring his face in.
Yeah. Ooh, Nancy. See, I really like your darks. I love
Oh,
it.
thank you so much.
I hope you're
You
having
made this conversation, but I have an aversion to darks, and it's actually something I'm working on in my painting right now. Um, because I don't think you can see light as well if you don't have darkness.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find myself more comfortable. Like even the whole thing about only having one version of black. Like how many artists only have one version of black? Many of them will tell you they got like all these different kinds for different reasons. I'm like, I got one because I'm so averse to using it. I kind of do that though, and and maybe this because my roots were in intuitive painting. If I see that as an artist, I am holding too tightly to something, or continuously doing something or showing preference, I try to break myself out of that. I think that those end up like being like a good coach would be like, that's where you need to work. So
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
I thought this was at 9 o'clock Eastern. What time did you guys start?
well, we started at 6:30, right, Leah?
Eastern time?
mhm.
Yeah, we started at 3:30 Pacific Western. Yeah, so 6:30.
6:30 New York time.
Go 6:30 to 8:30.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I for some reason thought this Tuesday was like 9 p.m. Eastern.
Well, hopefully, I mean, you're still here for the last 45 minutes. However, you did miss kind of most of the demo, and I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
But hopefully, you'll come back next week. We're gonna continue to do what we're working on right now is an intuitive abstract painting style that the artist Flora Bowley teaches. And next week, we're going to focus on an intuitive abstract style that the artist Mady Rose teaches. So we're going to kind of move off of continue off of what we're doing here. And Leah also mentioned to another person who hadn't been in here in this class before that I do have 4 foundation classes that we just finished up, and you can find them for free on the Roaming Studios YouTube. So if you feel like you want some of that, that's there as well.
Thank you.
Welcome to the class.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to just I'm neglecting all my studio work, which is not good. I mean, it is. It's all right. I don't care, but I kind of do care. So I'm gonna show up at the easel tonight.
I like it. I like though that, I mean, I neglect my studio work sometimes too. I unfortunately though have the bad habit that I happen to be the president of Portland Open Studios and I own an art gallery. So I tend to do admin work when I need to be painting, which is never a good decision.
I can't keep myself at home. It's too
Oh.
hot. It's too hot. I'm not gonna go painting tonight because it's too hot, but I'm always out on location. Leo will tell you.
Yeah, you know, it's my studio is away from home. We have a really beautiful street level studio that connects to our art gallery.
Nice.
But we also put in a studio at home because what I found was that I don't like to work on my sketchbook at the beginning of the day. I like to work on my sketchbook at the end of the day, and that I needed to have 2 studios because clearly I need to work in my pajamas a little bit.
Yeah, I don't have a separate studio. I mean, I guess unless you count the city, like the whole city.
City is kind of, I mean, you got what is considered to be hands down some of the most abundant inspiration out there.
Oh, it's fantastic. I was out painting once. The best thing anybody ever said to me was it was like this like crazy windy day. I had 40-mile-an-hour winds slamming into my back, and everybody was miserable from the wind, and I'm out there painting and being miserable. This guy walks by. He looks at me like I'm nuts. He looks around. He looks at me again, and he says, "Don't you have a studio?" Just like that.
You're like, this is it.
That's what I said. It was fantastic. It'll be funny forever.
I was a plein air abstract artist for a long time. So I would pack up, I have a little travel set up, you know, and I'd go and find somewhere outdoors to set up, but not really urban spaces. Even when I was in Portland, I didn't do a lot of urban painting. I did more like, I live at the coast now because of that kind of stuff. So, but where inspiration is where artists should be.
I will paint anywhere. I have paint and I travel.
I think that's what matters.
That's how I roll.
I will tell you this though, I did learn that there's only a certain number of little bottles of paint you're allowed to take through TSA.
Really?
And
No, you check your bag. You either have to check your bag or
I don't
ship
ever
it.
check the bag, but
yeah, I or
in
ship it
Mexico,
beforehand. That works.
Portland doesn't have a problem. You can have 500 little tiny bottles of paint in your carry-on. They don't care as long as the bottles are under the size that they care about. Palm Springs, however, Palm Springs cares, and they will take the number that is over that whatever number they have determined to be the maximum number of tiny little bottles you're allowed to have, and they will take it from you. I lost
That's
a
not
couple
cool.
paint once.
Yeah, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Paint is it's too expensive to run that risk.
And it's my what I said to the guy was like, can you at least let me choose the paints that you take? This is my livelihood. Some of these are $7.50 an ounce, and some of them are $1 an ounce. And I would really like
Using acrylic?
I use acrylic, but I had some craft
Okay.
paint at that time and some weird like,
Okay.
you know, I golden, and of course they were throwing away my golden, whatever.
Goldens are good. That's good paint.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
So
Jessica, hello.
Hi, lady. I thought this was at 9, but I'm gonna show up at the easel and do this painting that I was supposed to finish in the beginning of May, and it's like haunting me. And
Get it done.
so I finished like this huge project at work that's been stressing me out. So I figured like today may be a day to finish things, so I'm gonna do it. And we're talking about airline confiscation of paint,
yeah.
which is a sad thing.
Oh, Carissa, that's looking really lovely, by the way.
It is. It's coming through really nicely. This is the flower one. I can tell that, and this is again where I talk about like challenging yourself. I'm gonna put this one to the side because I like where it's going, and I need to work on this other one a little bit. That's just like hanging out, like, hey, lady, I'm still here too.
Yeah. What about
Leah,
Yeah.
can I be a pain in the ass and ask you to add me to the Discord? Because I'm not on the website right now and I'm covered in dust.
Sure. Easy.
Yeah, thank you. I know we're supposed to do that ourselves.
Yes, I just think the only thing is, no, I can do that for you. It's easy. Once I have you in my contacts, it's very easy for me to add people.
Thank you, lady.
No problem.
Oh, you're the best.
This is a fun thread.
Yeah, I bet it is.
It's a weird one. That's how we like it.
Oh, I like weird. If it's weird, it's definitely my speed. Oh, Jean! I love it.
Okay.
You know, I'm so proud of you that you've kept all of your cats from walking on it.
It's up on an easel.
Still.
We just have to hope it dries before they decide to rub all over it.
It's like an accomplishment, Jean. That's awesome.
I have a
Christy,
dog. She travels with me, and I went and did a stint at these tiny old vintage trailers out here. And it's like I have to wait till she falls asleep at night to prep all of my paper so that I can
Right.
cover the trailer in wet paper and hope that I can get up before she does
right.
and put it all up
Yep.
while it dries overnight.
I went out
Cats,
painting the other day and I took my panel out and, you know, I prepped mine like beforehand. So it had been a while, and I'm working in oil and I have little kitty paw prints in the corner.
That's
Yeah, little cat, very, very distinct little kitty prints. And she walked all over my panels.
I think Jessica and Jean both have 3 cats in there.
Yes.
Yes, we're the crazy cat ladies of the art studio.
Yeah.
ooh, Toshmeen, look how nice that's coming together. I love it.
I
Learning
love
that.
it too.
That's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. How are you doing, Tashleen?
We're all doing good, I think.
Yeah.
You're doing great, Ashwin.
Oh, shit, I forgot to send it to you, Jessica. I'll send it to you right now. Tashween is our artist of the week for the
Great.
Congratulations.
Love painting, by the way.
Christia? I
Yeah,
added a lot of warm colors to the cool one, but I haven't added a lot of cool to the warm.
okay,
Is that okay?
absolutely. Just what, you don't have to do it to the other one, but you can just challenge yourself a little bit. Just because you're gonna find that the opposites attract concept, right, comes into play here.
Uh-huh.
Is anyone finding, are people finding that their second and third and fourth and fifth and eighth and ninth layers are making it better or worse? Something that I want to state is that it is easy to overwork your work. This type of painting is a great teacher for learning how to make decisions about when to stop overworking something and when to continue working something. So just be aware of that. I personally am more likely to overwork this style of painting than I am other forms of abstract painting. Which is, you know, here's what it is, part of the game.
Have a good night, Jancy. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
Hi, Jancy.
That's a new, we're getting new writers every week. Pretty great.
Well, now it's going to be a little more self-sustained. So
Yeah.
it'll be a little easier to pop in and out.
Well, yeah, and I feel like, yeah, I still feel like we'll see our biggest jump back up in the fall. I'm not really holding my breath until then.
Oh, just to let everybody know, there won't be class on July 20th because it's my 40th birthday and I'm not going to be working.
That's right.
Oh, congrats. Happy birthday.
Thank
You're a
you.
child. You're a mere child.
My mom just told me that her 40s were her favorite era. She said,
I've heard a lot of people say that. I'm not sure if it's true yet or not.
And physically in the best shape. I think it's a really interesting thing to think about. I'm quite a bit more active than my mom, so I may find that my 60s are my favorite. But right now, I'm into it.
I like the 50s way better than the 40s.
My
Really?
mom's
Why?
Not to do the 40s. The 40s were great. Lots of great things happened, but the 50s are freaking awesome.
Why, Leah? What makes you say that?
That's a really good question. I finally feel like I'm starting to get some mastery over my painting. It's been 20 years and I'm finally feeling like, oh yeah, there's a little bit of mastery there that there really wasn't before. I met my boyfriend in my late 40s, but the sort of love of my life, he's like didn't really show up until I was close to 50.
I also think that strangely the pandemic has been really good for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It, I think is an interesting differentiation, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's just been really good. I just think it's neat. I think all the things that I kind of wanted, there was a lot of stuff I wanted to happen in my 40s, but it didn't happen in my 40s. It didn't start happening till my 50s. So that's.
So there's hope for me.
Oh yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I didn't give up bad habits in my 50s than I did in my 40s.
So, Leah, did you see Tess Congdon's most recent social media post about her freaking 5-day gravel race?
No.
Oh my God. Leah and I both started painting kind of late for people.
Yeah.
Unlike my partner who has been who started doing ceramics at 18 and is already 20 years into the industry, right? And she's younger than me. Leah and I are kind of late bloomers in this concept. And so it's Lisa Congdon. So it's always interesting to watch what Lisa Congdon has accomplished, which is massive, right? And how she's going about it. She just did in her 50s, I think she's 50 or 51, just did a 5-day gravel race on a bike.
Wow.
And for myself, I just, I'm blown away by that.
Yeah.
That sounds exhausting.
Sounds exhausting. If you're an athlete,
An exhausted person. She lives in Portland. We've met her. She is kind of tense. She's like charmingly tense, and
you look exhausted a lot.
she's pretty exhausted. She is a person who runs herself pretty ragged, but extraordinarily successful artist.
Delightful artist.
But what's her name? What's her Instagram?
Lisa Congdon. And it's just Lisa Congdon. She's a illustrator, but you should look up the post about her gravel race. You'll
Wait.
see her first day and you'll see
Lisa, what's her last name? How do you spell it?
Congdon.
Oh, there she is. Lisa
Yeah.
Congdon, right?
Yes, yeah.
Artist, joy monger. Oh, I like that. Author, activist, world traveler, collector, goofball. Oh, I like her already. Gravel cyclist. Okay, I like her.
She's pretty awesome. She's her podcast, I will tell you, if you guys want a good podcast for in the studio or for just in places that you're trying to funnel some kind of focus, her podcast, she just really started a couple of weeks ago. I think she's only 4 or 5 episodes in, is mind-blowing. It's really beautiful. Her what she talks about is really well thought out. Very interesting. Yeah, the gravel cyclist thing is just amazing to me. I'm a cyclist. When I lived in Portland, I commuted by bike, and I know I could not do that.
Remember.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm following her. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
She's great, but she's exhausted. Like definitely.
She's exhausted this year though. Yeah. When she got her breast cancer diagnosis, she kind of stepped back from a lot of things.
Ugh.
She fought breast cancer during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Mm-mm.
I'm exhausted because I have a teenager.
That is exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted because I run a nonprofit and I run a business and I am an artist. And that's exhausting.
Being an artist really is exhausting. It's not fun all the time. 'Cause you gotta-
know what?
Like
This
hard.
conversation came up today. I work 4 hours a week in a little food cart that's in my gallery's parking lot. It's
Mhm.
literally just like $100 cash. It's easy, you know. I get to talk to people. I get to sell really good food. The chef that runs the cart is amazing. But we got in this conversation today because he's really worn ragged, and we've been doing this thing where in my 2-hour shift we sell out for the entire day. So it's maniacal, right? And he's like, it's just, I'm so exhausted, blah, blah, blah. And I just said to him, I said, every job is exhausting. I am working many people's dream life right now, and I'm exhausted. So I just think we're just exhausted.
Yeah.
We all need to just win the lottery so we can do nothing but our art.
And
Well-
open our artist commune.
Yeah.
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 Krista, what's your Instagram? I found
It
it
is
Krista Trask, but it doesn't look like it's you because they're in Canada.
No, it is Kirista. I have an extra I in there. And it's
K-I-R. What? Spell it again. Oh, Krista
K-I.
Trask. There you are. I found you. You know, there's somebody else. Oh, I'm already following you.
Ooh, gee.
Can't follow you because I already am.
I didn't know that somebody else had a similar name. It doesn't surprise me though.
Oh, it's the same, except the R and the I are reversed, but they're Canadian.
Wow.
Jean, these are extraordinary. The one left.
Nice. You know about her? Actually, I did know about her. You know why? She lives
Tell me.
in St. John's, Newfoundland, and I lived in the St. John's neighborhood of Portland. So it was
Oh my
weird
God. That's
that
so
we have
awesome.
almost the same name, and she's a realtor. And in my past life, I was a mortgage broker.
You guys should connect. I think you
I
have to
know.
connect.
Like, I just want
I
to
have-
know.
I have a friend named Kedron, and she found all the other Kedrons in the world because like nobody's named Kedron. There's like 30 of them, like internationally, and they're all like in a group together because their name is Kedron.
That's amazing.
Isn't that like ridiculously awesome?
When I worked in banking, I looked up. You can use databases that search all the
Mhm.
names and stuff, and I looked up to see if anybody else had the same first name as me with the exact same spelling. Nobody did, and I was like,
Aw.
"Look at that I working for me."
Yeah, I found another Jessica Pryor once, like back in the early days of the internet. And so I emailed her and I said, "Hey, we have the same name." And she never wrote me back.
Oh,
I'm so
she's a
sad.
terrible person.
No, right?
But she sounds like a drag.
Yeah.
No. Like, who wouldn't write somebody back that says, "Hey, let's be friends. We have the same name." Like,
Jessica,
who does that?
I totally would.
class is always
Yeah.
this class is always at East Coast after work time on Tuesdays. So Tuesday and Thursday, same start time.
Okay, thank you. I thank you for that. I'm so happy we texted and I asked because I really thought it was 9 p.m., but I might be thinking about another day, like Wednesday.
Think about Wednesday, which is not
Okay.
your time.
Yeah, I can't do that one.
Yeah.
I'm so excited so I can hang out in this class too and
Yes, you can.
talk too much and just, I like you, Kirsta. You're cool. You're a cool lady. We would totally like get along like in person.
I like that you just came in and you were like, "I'm gonna start talking. I'm into it."
That's Jessica. That's
Well,
Well, I know everybody here. Like, I know everyone.
Yeah.
I dragged Jean out painting with me. Do you know that Jean does really, really well on location?
I have no
She's
doubt.
really good. Yeah, she's really good.
All
I
two
put her
times
in
I've done-
very challenging environments. I have put Jean inside of a cathedral and told her to paint. I put her in the middle of Central Park and told her to paint. She did it. She did a good job too.
And Jessica, as soon as it gets cooler, I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Jean, I'm still out every weekend. So, and I go out after work, but I generally stay local, but I'll still drag you out. I have
It's
bug
too hot
spray.
for
We'll
me
be
right
okay.
now. It's too
I have
hot for me.
I have sunblock and bug spray. We'll be okay.
Not saying she's not taking no for an answer, Jean.
No.
In this heat, I can say no.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
okay, so
you
that's
guys are-
fair because I'm not out tonight either.
Yeah.
And normally I might be.
And you guys are in the 90s right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Seven
it's a
today,
little
I think. Yeah, no.
it's not nice right now. So I'm staying home too. So Jean, okay, I'll give it to you. It's
Thank
all right.
you.
Pass on that one.
All right. Grudgingly, yes, but only because I'm still home.
We're gonna see if I can take this one home, meaning finish it today.
So Leah, what were you saying about mine?
What was I saying about what?
About mine? Were you saying something about mine?
I was really loving it. I
Oh,
particularly
good.
the one on the pinky one on the left. It's
Yeah, I
like
like that one.
really gorgeous.
I like it too, Jean.
Thank you. I like the little furry bits.
I like it all.
Yeah. Me too.
Oh,
Oh, my poor neglected studio work. I always make these goals for myself and then sometimes I don't meet them and then I feel bad. Like I'm letting myself down. Because like, what if I die tomorrow and my painting isn't finished?
You'll be fine. You won't.
Leah will come
You think
finish
so? Okay.
me off when you're up.
I do think like that though. Isn't that terrible? Is that like,
Many
are you
great-
guys all that morbid?
many great painters left things unfinished.
But I already have like a pile of unfinished crap. I want to finish this. No, it's too much.
I actually, it's so funny is I tend to stress less about my work and more about my art collection. I've been trying to get get myself motivated to inventory it all. And I find myself sometimes being like, if I don't do it soon and something happens to me, the wrong person is going to get the wrong painting when I die. And, you know, what if I don't take care of where these paintings' lives are going after this? So, I mean, different kind of morbid.
Do you inventory that? Because I know, like, if you're selling with a gallery, you don't know where your painting goes.
Well, so I inventory my personal collection. I personally have, between me and my partner, we have 90 2D pieces on our wall. And that does
About her own painting, Jessica. She's talking about the paintings she collects from other people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you have to inventory that. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, you do. You do. Mm-hmm.
That doesn't include
You do.
collection, which is hundreds of pieces at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what we did, Leah, when we came to Portland?
What?
We went and visited Urbanite because several of Portland Open Studios artists have like little tiny booth things there. And I got a tiny little pinch pot made by Rachel Austin.
Oh, nice.
Which is interesting.
You know, you could hire an intern to do your inventorying if you don't want to do it.
She does my inventory for my actual artwork in my studio.
Yeah. Just somebody who enjoys organizing things and doing Excel spreadsheets, you know, that would like be their dream job.
She did so awesome. I was like, here's this giant stack of paper sketches. I need you to inventory all of them.
That's amazing.
I
absolutely believe in hiring people to do crap we don't want to do.
We have 2 studio assistants. We have one in the ceramic studio and one that does all of our social media and random office jobs in our gallery. And it's a game changer. I always tell Leah she needs a studio assistant.
I do. I'm getting close.
You know, Leah, if you hire a local art student, it would save you cost because, you know, it's a starting salary. They would get experience and they do a really good job.
Yeah, I will. I mean, right now I hire 3 teachers, which is about all I can afford to hire. So
yeah,
like I'll get there, but I'm just I'm like and also,
you know what, the other thing you could do, Leah, is high schools, I don't know about Portland, but I'm assuming it would be, you know, the same somewhere out there than it is here. There is a high school requirement for volunteer hours, and you could totally get a volunteer to do it. It would be a sweet volunteer gig, and you give them the volunteer credit and you don't have to pay them, and it's a win-win because they need it to graduate. You're awesome. Oh my God, volunteering in your studio, who would not want to do that? And you can, you know, save on costs. So that might be something to look into, to check with the local high school.
that's a good idea. I mean, I've had an intern because we have an internship program at Open Studios. So I have an intern, like, who stayed with me for 3 years. She's actually she still comes back sometimes and helps. But I always find, like I said, it's more like I don't think I'm quite at the point, maybe starting to get there, but I'm not exactly quite at the point where I can't manage it all myself. So I'm like, I'm just waiting for that one thing to happen that will push it over into, it's very clear, evident, I need, you know.
We didn't
do you know,
it.
all the kids in the National Honor Society have to do 15 hours of volunteer work, and it's non-specified. And I'm sure there's a lot of them in Portland. So I think you should get on the high school lists for volunteer opportunities in your studio. You don't have to pay them, and they get a good benefit from it. I'm telling you, and I know this because my kid had to do it.
Do they have to be a registered 501c3 though?
Nope.
Oh.
But
not that I'm aware of. I actually don't know what that is, but I don't think they have to be registered with anything. You just fill out the form.
As a charity, which is complicated.
No.
You have to have a
no,
board.
You do not, because no, it doesn't have to be charity work. So my daughter had to do her 15 hours, like very last minute. She helped down in the village.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You don't have to be part. It does nothing. You just have to sign a form for them. Nothing. As long as they're just working for free, that's it. That's all they need. Oh my God, Leah, you would get so many people. Are you kidding? It would be amazing.
It's on the list. It's on-
Not to be your mom or anything, Leah, but you don't need to wait until you're at the breaking point. Then they
Yeah, you
can't help.
don't.
You need to be training them when you have the ability to train them.
September.
That what happens is the second somebody else starts taking over some of those things for you, you fill your time with other stuff that actually generates income.
Right.
Or you pay attention to your cat, which is also important.
Cat is missing kind of attention.
Show you her right here. She's right here. She's so hot.
Baby. Oh, I love you, Muka. Yeah, my cat's melted too.
Guys,
They're like melted. They're puddles. My cats are puddles.
she spent
Oh, Muka. My baby.
she spent like 2 days in the armoire because it was so hot. So she just went out and did a big long run. And I don't,
Kitty.
she always goes somewhere outside. I never know where. Now she's like here, collapsed, very hot. Hi, baby.
Poor baby.
We actually had a vet who opened up
Oh,
because we don't have air conditioning at the coast.
I bet.
oh baby.
I know she's.
I love you, Muka.
I love you guys.
Oh, she loves it. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her. Oh my God. I want to come visit just so I can hug Muka.
Because deceitfully tiny.
Yeah, she is really deceitfully tiny. You wouldn't guess she was 14. And it had
Yeah. She's delicate. You feel delicate when you're like touching her and interacting.
Oh, God.
it's very delicate. It is.
Oh,
Jessica's thinking about coming, and Jean too. Are both.
I don't think I can swing it this summer at all. I am tapped out financially from dance.
Stop. That's not what I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
October.
For open studios, they're thinking about.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna come up one of the weekends. We haven't decided which weekend yet, but we're gonna figure it out.
That would be really nice. I would like to do that.
I know the answer, Leah. I can't do the second weekend because, or the first weekend, which is the second weekend of October, because that's our art walk here.
Right.
So it'd have to be the third weekend.
Carista is the president for Portland Open Studios, and I'm the board.
Yeah.
So we run it together.
That would be really, really nice. And Janet is definitely
I
going.
love that. I love
Jean, are you going?
I'm probably.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, put me down as probably. I'll figure it out.
No, I have a 2-bedroom house. Y'all are gonna stay there, and you just have to figure out how you sleep.
Janet is staying for the whole time, and I'm gonna be her roommate for part of it. Is that the deal? I think that's the deal.
You should talk to her.
Janet's the organizer.
I like the green. Yeah.
Leah, is Janet the one that comes every other time? Is that the same person?
Janet is like student zero. She's the one who. She is the one who got this all started with me at Reuters. She's my old editor. Yeah, and
She's becoming such an amazing artist.
Janet's amazing.
So
She's so
fun.
amazing.
And you know, you guys, I don't know if you are like fully aware of this, but Janet had never done anything before 5 years ago when I said to her, yes, you can do this. She had never done any art. And now she's full on.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Love
she's
it.
addicted, which is why she started bringing it to that, why she brought the first class to Reuters, and then she pushed for Reuters to pay for it. And then Reuters began pushing for
I just love the style she's developed with the ink now.
Oh
It's
my God.
so
Wonderful.
cool.
Great, but she never did anything until her mid-50s. So it's really awesome. Yeah, so Janet will be coming. Christy, you'll definitely have to. I was going to take them to this in between so we could come visit the gallery.
Well, if they come, like if they end up coming for the first weekend of it, you know, we'll be here. The second weekend we'll be in Portland.
Weekends. I think it's both.
So Leah, Pebbles would like to say hi to Muka.
Okay.
Oh,
There she is.
Oh, I see Pebbles. Say hi to Muka cat.
Here we go.
Hi.
Hi. Where's Inkling? Have you locked the cats out?
no, he's right here. He's sitting next to me. Come here, boo. Ooh. Inkling says you need to use more ink.
We'll get there.
Hi, Inkling. Pebbles says hi, Inkling.
Hey, Pebbles.
Oh, baby cat.
Glasses get so loopy. See what you're doing, Krista? You're like, everybody's like just all hanging out.
You know, that's what we do. We once a month, Cambium does a hangout. We do an art hangout
Nice.
where we just paint and talk. I think it's an important thing for people, you know.
It is.
That's why I come on the calls, honestly. Like it's been wonderful for me. It's helped me a lot. Yeah.
Carissa, Jessica was actually a guest teacher. She taught a workshop lecture on perspective. That's actually 1 point and 2 point perspective. That's actually really phenomenal. Was a really great lecture. We've got it in the recording somewhere. It's absolutely worth.
Very kind, Leah. Thank you.
Good. I'm like as Sandra Mahler says, I'm beating it into her.
Well, it is very important. It is very important.
Yes, like she's like you're just beating it. I don't think the word was beating. I think she said something like you're reinforcing lessons, like every lesson with you know, or slapping, or maybe the word slapping was used. I don't really know.
Well, it really is that important though. And it's not like you don't have to like do like architectural renderings or technical drawings, but you have to understand the concepts. And once it becomes integrated into your thought process, you can just like put it in there. It really is important. So Leah, good on you. You should be doing that. Good for you. It means you're a good teacher. You're a good teacher, lady.
Right, Toshween? Toshween has taken a bunch of classes, right, Jean? I'm making you guys follow the 1 and 2 point rules, right?
And Tashween started off amazing. So
I just love when people text me and say, I bought those books you told me to buy. I love that.
Tashween, you're on mute, but you had experience, right?
No.
No?
You got the book. This is the book, Jessica.
What?
This is the
Oh,
book.
yeah. Yeah, you got the book.
Got the book.
I know you did. Everybody tells me I bought the book, and that makes me so happy when people buy art books.
I bought it.
I know you did. You texted me about it too. And Leah got it. I got Leah to buy a book too.
Carissa, you'd appreciate it because she started off the lecture with a really bad description of perspective drawing from an old book. Like,
I'm reading I was telling Leah, I'm reading a color theory book from the 1800s. It's very
Jessica, this is fucking.
What are the illustrations like, Caristia? Are they in black and white?
But they use plates. That's how
Yeah.
they're documented. It's actually really quite extraordinary. And that Joseph Albers that I shared with you guys, his work is based off of the research that this woman did. It's just that her color and her knowledge of color and how humans see color is so old in comparison to what we know now. The science has come so far You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can.
So Tosh said she just put that book on hold at the library, but it's actually, I did not know that a woman
Yeah,
really pioneered this.
That's
It's really-
amazing.
I just never
we
knew
have,
it.
I sent a friend of mine some of the pictures of my stuff from last week or the week before, and he said, "Oh my God, that looks like a Joseph Albers," and I was like, "Why,
Yeah.
yes, it does."
yeah.
You know, not only is it difficult just to be an artist because we really are wired very differently, but on top of that, it's like really hard to be a girl artist.
Oh, truth.
It really is like, it's just like this boys club out there. It pisses me off sometimes. Like,
Oh, I deal with it on so many levels because I own an
oh,
art
I
gallery.
know you do. I know
And
you
men
do.
come into my art gallery and they just want to immediately show and they just want to force themselves. And
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
things that I have,
Uh-uh.
we only show underrepresented artists. So white men need not apply. Like truth, white cis het men, this is not the place for you. And we have a submission form because we're very open and we don't have like, depending on where you are in your career, that doesn't matter to us. It's about your cohesiveness and blah, blah, blah. And so I always say, like, in our submission form, we say, what about your work speaks directly to our mission and our values, which is on our front page of our website. And cis het white men, they're just so used to just,
But
this
it's my art.
is good to just be shown. And every time I'm like, if you read our mission and our values, you would know that you don't apply.
Yeah.
Doesn't apply to you. This is not the place for you. It's amazing to me. Although Audrey and I were out for dinner one night and we had somebody come up to us because we're very recognizable where we live now. And he told me, thank you for telling him no. And for
Really?
responding to his inquiry, he said, I emailed 30 galleries and you were the only one that was kind enough to respond. And I was like, oh, wow, I respond. And I say, I'm very honest with people. Like, you know, we've decided on all of our shows for the year. I've had a couple of things where I was like, I mean, because I believe first and foremost, I am a mentor, even in my role with Portland Open Studios and with Cambium. And his project, I was just like, I need proof of work. I'm very interested in what you're doing. However, I will tell you that we do focus on underrepresented artists and, you know, your work doesn't fall in line with what we're doing, but really you need to have proof of work before you're submitting to galleries. Galleries aren't just going to show this idea that you have. And apparently he proved it. And I was like, good, because, you know, I want him to find a show for his work.
Yeah.
He will. He will.
Yeah.
He will.
Christy, that's so gorgeous.
It's really coming together nicely. This one has some more. Maybe I'll work on them throughout the week and then share them with you guys next time.
Yeah, please do. I love how you separated it with the white and the black.
I forget, who are we doing next week? Who are we?
Nate Rose McDonough, who is, she's also an intuitive painter. She uses a completely different color palette. She uses a lot more mixed media layering techniques. So we're going to do a lot more weird stuff. I'm really going to pull out all the weird stuff for you guys. It should be very exciting.
I love weird people.
What was the name of the woman today? I'm going to write it down.
This is Flora Bowley. So it's
Flora.
FLORABOWLEY. I highly encourage you to get Brave Intuitive Painting. It's a beautiful book. Beautiful book. It was written many years ago. Flora has written like 6 books since then, but I think it's the best introduction into intuitive painting out there. So they're coming together quite nicely. It is 5:30. Does anybody have any last minute questions before? Feel free to post your finished pieces or semi-finished pieces in the WhatsApp thread so that we can see them and appreciate them and answer any questions.
That was really fun, Carissa.
It's
Thank
fun,
you.
fun and messy.
Thank you.
Fun and messy. We'll see you next week.
Yes.
Yes, we'll see you next week.
Well, now that I know the right time, I'll probably show up.
Yeah, yeah. These are
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for letting me crash your nice, beautiful class. And
Thing. You're allowed to come into any class and do whatever you want. That is part of the deal.
Love it.
All right. Bye, guys.
bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a wonderful evening.
Yep.